Target Trading Academy.
Good afternoon, everybody. Preston Vogl at Target Trading Academy with today's micros market recap. Let's get into it. It is the New York close, Wednesday, July 26th. We opened inside the range from yesterday in all of our markets, depending on where we closed. Uh, we're going to be farther away than some other markets, but oil, that close was way up here. You can see that after we opened, hit that HVA edge that we tested right away. Remember, these levels are drawn out the night before, and then we bounced off and hit that overnight low from that pre-market or overnight market in oil. And then they bounced off, and you can see they were tempting to get to that close, and they finally got to it, and then they came crashing back down here. And so we closed net down on the day in comparison to yesterday. Now, gold, we're starting to see volume split between the December and August contract here. In terms of gold, excuse me, sorry, gold did open gap up. That was my bad. Gold's the only market that didn't open inside of its range, but it did get back to its range to that close. That range high was right here. So it was the only market that had that discrepancy. And as such, you can see that they made a drive right to it. They got it. It took a good hour or two just to get there, but they finally got it. And then they tested going lower again, and that was rejected. And then you can see the FOMC news came out after that market had closed. Remember, gold closes at 1:30 Eastern, and that FOMC came out at 2. So it was already closed, but they were still trading it. But decent response at those HVA edges. That immediate move to that close was a success. And then without further ado, that closed net positive. So we have negative in oil, positive in gold. And then our equities. As you've probably heard me mention, the FOMC news did come out today. I'm not looking at what they're going to do for interest rates or whatever. That's not something that generally interests me. It's just I need to know when that news comes out to not be in anything and get stuck. As far as oil, or sorry, the ES goes, we opened practically opposite end of where we closed yesterday. We closed around up here and we opened way down here. So relatively far away. And then you can see this HVA edge once more. This was drawn the night before. If you look at the time when we opened 9:30 to 11, it was just stuck. It was ping ponging back and forth off this edge forever. And then they finally broke out, had a little bit of a turnaround just before that HVA edge. Some good responses off of it for the shorts if you were available to take them based off of the methodology. And then they drove it up only to get stuffed again. And it took that FOMC news to actually get new highs on the day with any relative distance. And we got to that close, which was great. And then they made some even higher highs on that day. And they actually made new contract highs, which is also cool. But and then in the same breath, pretty much a good 30 minutes to an hour later, they went and tested the lows that they put in from the FOMC. So all that participation right here was from 2:30 or what was it, 2:30? No, 2 o'clock on, and then this here was from 9:30 to the 2. So you can see how congested it was in the morning. Very consolidated, not very fun. Had to be trading very low volume in that morning session compared to what we saw in the afternoon. But then again, that's just kind of typical for an FOMC announcement when they do come out. And then with that said, it looks like we are going to be closing. Oof, it's hard to tell because they can keep driving this market up, but we're pretty close to that close right now. We are net down on the day. Same goes in the Nasdaq. So as far as the Nasdaq goes, it's a very similar story. Open inside that range, below that close. Now I don't believe we ever got to the close. That value was just below that range high, and we never got to it. But we had a little bit more participation, I would say, in the NAS than we did the ES. Even though that first initial morning was very consolidated, there was just a little bit more range extension that gave some potential opportunities that you can see here right out of the gate. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 entries available, or potential entries, I should say. And then they finally broke out, and there were some trending entries that are available for our students as well to be turned around on that edge. Remember, these edges are drawn a whole night in advance to these pit session markets opening, and so you can see that there was just a little bit more opportunity. And then the FOMC came out and they drove it up. Now, they didn't get that range extension when the FOMC came out, much like the ES did, which is a little odd. But then again, it just is what it is. And they tested those lows yet again, and it got stuffed one more time. And then you can see that market volatility once more kicked in when they were leaving or closing out of their positions. But we are net down in the Nasdaq as well. Good responses at these levels. Just a slow morning in general and choppy day for that. And it was just that news was really what was the driving factor that most people were waiting for. Even though we had 10 o'clock, what was it, consumer or housing price index or something like that that came out, and that didn't move the market at all. They just were waiting for that 2 o'clock and 2:30 news announcements that were coming out. But like I said, we are net down in the ES, Nasdaq, positive in gold, and down in oil. If you'd like to learn more information about these levels and how you can get them onto your charts the night before, feel free to reach out to us. We are Target Trading Academy. You can find us on Facebook or go to our website at targettrading.co. Get in touch with a consultant at either location, and they'll gladly show you what we do in our rooms each and every day, and you'll be able to see for yourself why we are the #1 trading education company in the world. Look forward to seeing you there.